Hi, and welcome to the Innovative Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Isolde Trachtenberg. On the show, you get my conversations with peak-performing thought leaders, creatives, and entrepreneurs. Every week, I bring you the latest scoop on what these incredible people do to succeed and how you can get their secrets and do it too. Whether we're talking about best practices for spending time creating, how to work the business part of your business, or how to keep in that innovative mindset so you can keep living and performing, you'll get practical and wise information to use in your work and in your life. And now, let's get on with the show. Hey there, and welcome to the Innovative Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Isolde Trachtenberg, and I'm super happy that you're here. It is the day before Christmas Eve. It's December 23rd, and we're in a challenging year, so we're trying to all figure out how to work the holiday season. There are over 10 holidays this time of year. Everybody's trying to celebrate something, but we're doing it in a way that we haven't done before, and a lot of people are facing uncertainty. And I know myself, my husband, everybody I know really is going, okay, I'm used to being with family this time of year. And either it's a great thing that we're with family, or sometimes that's challenging, but this year's different. We're having to be together in different ways. And I know that a lot of people, and I don't know if you're one of those people, we're facing some sort of burnout. Either the whole COVID crisis has reached a fever pitch, the election season, so many different things could be causing it. But I want to talk about something that is multifaceted. I want to talk about what it means to be a creative person who is burnt out or who is facing the holidays, for example, and wants to figure out, okay, what am I going to do if I need a break, but I still want to keep my mind and my muse and my artistic oomph sharp? How do you approach that? Because to me, like when I'm there in that space of, I'm going to take a short break. For example, I'm taking a short break from guitar. I kind of went, you know what? I don't have any more gigs coming up. I'm just going to take a break and not play guitar for a little while because I have so many other things I want to be doing. And I'm used to practicing every day. I'm used to playing guitar at least 20 minutes to a half an hour every day, no matter what. You'd think I'd be a lot better at guitar, but I am not. But yeah, so I had to make this sort of conscious choice because you get into this habit, and it's interesting, as a creative person, I get into a habit of, at first it's like, well, I'm going to just do it. I'm going to make myself do it, even when I don't want to, because most of the time I do want to. Most of the time, whatever creative endeavor I'm trying to do, I want to be doing it because that feeds my soul. But there are times when I'm too busy, or I'm too tired, or I'm too this, or I'm too that, or life just gets in the way of art, as my Aikido sensei says, and you don't, right? You don't play, you don't do, you basically have enough energy to sit and maybe read a book, but mostly you just put your feet up and try to let the world wash over you. When I'm in that place of going, okay, I'm going to take a minute, I'm going to take a break, I'm not going to play guitar in this case for a little while, there's a part of me that misses it. And I have to sort of honor that part every day and go, I'm going to imagine that I have played or am thinking about playing the guitar, and I will, believe it or not, air guitar a few chords of a song and go from there. But at the same time, it's kind of like my yoga mat. I have a deal with myself that every day I am required to step on the yoga mat. Now, I am not required to do yoga if I don't have time, or if I'm burnt out, or if I'm, freaking out, which ironically is the time I should be doing yoga, right? That's the best time to do yoga, is when you're freaked out. But I have to go, okay, this is my space. My space is I am required to step on the mat. I'm required to unroll the mat. And of course the cats immediately run and lie all over it. So I'm sort of trying to do yoga between the two boys. But I unroll the mat and I'm required to step on the mat and do mountain pose. And if I want to stop at that point, then I can feel guilt-free and walk away from it. I can count on one hand the number of times I've done that. I haven't really done that in the last 26 years. I generally go on and do at least some yoga. And I sort of am doing the same thing with guitar. I open the case and I strum the strings. If I don't do it, and right now they're loosened, but at least I've done something that reminds me that I play this instrument. And it's interesting to think about that. And then when I am taking a break like guitar, and I do a gratitude journal every morning, that's one of the things I say I'm grateful for is my ability to play guitar and the rest that I'm taking from it. So there's this honoring of the guitar, honoring of whatever it is you're taking a break from while you're taking that break. And there's something really powerful about that because it allows me the room, the mental and the emotional and the creative and the spiritual and the whatever room to go ahead and allow that to go so that then I have that room to create doing something else. And right now I'm focusing on writing a book, for example. And if I were taking a break from writing a book, I would honor writing that part of myself while I was doing something else. So it's a way of giving myself permission and space to take that break while I am still honoring the fact that this is a big part of my life and I haven't given up on it. I'm just taking that time for myself. And there's another perspective that we can get from all of this. And here's the other perspective. Number one, you could be a creative person. And you know what? Let me just say it this way. We're all creative. We all have creative genius inside us. We all had something we did when we were little that was, we banged on pots with spoons. We made up stories. We doodled, we drew. Everybody has something that they did and maybe still do that gives them their unique creative genius. And some of us have forgotten about it. Some of us don't pay attention to it, but every single one of us has it. And so I'm going to restate that. If you do a lot of work with your creativity, you might be burnt out. You might have gotten distressed about the fact that, especially if you are a member of the gig economy, that there haven't been that many gigs this year, right? So if you're one of those people, I hear you, my friends, I hear you absolutely. But if there's also the other side of that coin. What if you're the kind of person who doesn't spend a lot of time on their creativity and you are burnt out from other reasons? Everything has been stressful. Everything has been tight and tough this year. And so here's Isolde's patented system of helping ease burnout and stress during this holiday season. Number one, if you can, make some holiday cookies. Cookies make everything better. But also do something creative. Take out a box of crayons or a pencil and doodle. A piece of paper and crayons and just doodle whatever you want. You could, if you want something that is a prompt of some sort, there are tons of, I'm going to put something in the show notes about a prompt word. There's a prompt word generator and it might tell you something like sink or something like tablecloth or airplane or paperclip, whatever it tells you. See if you can doodle something around it, right? Or if you have an idea, if there's something that you've been wanting to do and haven't because things have just been too freaked out, now's the time. Take a moment, get up a little bit early Christmas morning or Christmas Day when nobody else is up and doodle or write a poem, write a haiku, 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables, or try and make something, baking or cooking, that you have not done before. Do something that engages that creativity muscle inside your head and inside your heart so that you will have that upswell. And it's an upswell. When you are creative, you lose the ability to be stressed out. When you are in the moment of creativity, you lose the stress. I promise you. So if you want a break from the stress and the burnout, I guess is the best way of putting it, of this year, do something creative. It changes you. I promise you it changes you. And also I have that lovely little breathing activity that I will also put in the show notes, which will help you get from one state to another. It's a transformation. It will change your state radically, and it just takes a minute to help you get back into that place of, oh yeah, I can do this. Because a lot of what I think a lot of us are going through right now is the feeling that we can't. And you can absolutely do it. And creativity helps. It eases the burden on your mind because it gets you into a completely different part of your head and a different part of your spirit and a different part of your heart. So I encourage you as much as possible to, if you're a creative person, handle burnout creativity wise, take a break from what you do creatively, or maybe do some other creative endeavor. And if you are not someone who uses your creativity all the time, figure out what it is that you used to want to do and try it. If you used to bake, bake again. If you used to doodle, draw. If you used to dance around the living room like I did when you were 6, then dance. Put on your favorite music and dance. Do something that will get you into that creative space, because it will help you become more agile, more adaptable, more flexible, and frankly, it'll tap into that genius part of you that doesn't have time to be stressed because it's too busy creating and innovating. Another part of this that we can look at is how often someone who wants to do something creative will prioritize away from that creative pursuit. So, oh, the dishes need to be done. Oh, I need to write bills. All of that is part of this process of prioritizing away from what you're already doing or what you want to be doing creatively. So one of the things that you can do for yourself during this time is to, in fact, prioritize towards being creative, prioritize and systematize how you can spend your time in that mind space, that creative, mindful space, so that you can elevate your mood, but also so that you can develop those skills, because both are important. And one of the ways that we do that for ourselves is to realize that we're allowed to. That's very important. Sort of accept and commit to the fact that you are allowed to take that time for yourself every day to spend a little time in that creative and mindful space. So saying that to yourself first thing in the morning, I have the right to do something creative today, is really important. And you take that time and you do something creative with it. You don't let yourself get talked out of it by, oh, I could be doing the dishes. Oh, the cat's litter box needs to be scooped. Oh, I'm supposed to, I don't know, fold the laundry. Whatever those things are, they'll still be there when you've taken 5 minutes to go ahead and create something. So that's really important, especially right now with the challenges of the season and, of course, of 2020. Let's be honest. It's really important to spend that time being creative, being in that space of no self-judgment and no, I should be doing something else. You know what I mean? That's so important. So that's the other part of this is no self-judgment. Whatever it is you decide you're going to create, don't judge yourself for it not being of a certain standard. This isn't about that. This isn't about evaluation. It's about creating. So whatever it is you decide to do, remove the judgment part of it from the whole playing field. It's not allowed. What's allowed is just the process of doing something. So remove the prioritizing away from doing something creative, remove the self-judgment, and allow yourself 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be a lot, but I'm willing to bet you that if you start with 5 minutes, you will then make it a priority for longer every day. But start with 5 minutes. You can even set a timer and then go back to all the other things that you feel like you, quote, should, unquote, be doing. And it'll be amazing to see what you create. So it'll help your mood. You know, spending a little time being creative will do amazing things for your mood. That's probably the last thing I need to say about it. And well, that's not true. There's one other thing that I want to raise, and that is sharing what you've created, sharing time with others in creativity, whether it's singing carols sometime this weekend or telling stories or writing, whatever it is you decide you're going to do, it's a really good time to do it. So make a plan, stick to it, and don't let yourself get swayed away from spending a little bit of time in that creative space. Oh, wait, and there's another thing. I want to talk about shiny, pretty thing syndrome. Like I was talking about getting distracted away or prioritizing away from your creative world. This is another thing that happens, and it's about getting distracted away from your creative life. And you know what's really funny about that? I do want to say this about shiny, pretty thing syndrome, as I call it. I think we are in a hyper-stimulated society. There are so many things coming at us all the time. Every minute of the day, there is something else coming at us that is, shiny, pretty, something we can listen to, something we can taste, something we can hear, something we can see, whatever it is. There are all these different things, all these different stimuli coming at us at all times. And as creative people, we tend to want to look at them and analyze them and see what they are and see how they affect and impact different things. And that's part of the process. At least it is for me. When I read a book now, I can no longer read it as just a reader. I read it and deconstruct the plotting and the descriptions and how much passive voice the author is using and all this. So I can't just read a book. I edit it in my head when I'm reading it, which makes reading a book for fun a little challenging. But the same thing with listening to songs. Oh, I see what they did here. I see that chord progression. I see how they use the rhythm here. All of that stuff is there all the time. So I'm constantly, whatever creative thing I'm doing or seeing, I'm analyzing it, I'm evaluating it, I'm editing it, whether it's a painting or a book or a story or a song. Dance, I'm not qualified to, so it's a little easier on me because I'm able to go, I can just enjoy it because I don't know exactly what they're doing. But there's a lot to be said for that idea of being able to just let the art or the creativity wash over you instead of constantly being in a state of being stimulated by whatever it is that you're seeing or hearing or watching. So it is interesting to me that I'm in that space, and I love that space because I think it informs who I am and where I'm going and what I'm able to create. Not as a I'm going to rip someone off kind of way, but just, seeing new possibilities in the way other people do things and then turning that and making it into something that's your own. Being able to go past the stimulation of what someone else has created and making it your own is really important as a creative. There's a difference between being a content creator and a content consumer. And there are times when, as a creative, it's hard to be a content consumer because, again, you either evaluate or you are inspired by whatever it is you've just heard or seen or read, and suddenly you want to go and create now because you've heard or seen or read something that makes you go, oh, this makes me want to do X, whatever X is. And then you have to deal with that because suddenly you were being a content consumer and now all of a sudden you're inspired. On the other hand, social media, and I use social media. I use social media for marketing. I use social media to stay in touch with people, but it is definitely content consumption unless you're actively creating something like we're creating this podcast. So there is this content consumption piece of it that kind of makes me go, ugh, too much. And so I want to also take a social media break so that I have time to fill the well in different ways. And I think filling the well, and that's first time I heard that was Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way. I think filling the well is really important. What nourishes your creative being? And if it's a break from everything that you normally would do, then take it. But if it's reading a book or looking at paintings, or Rich and I drove out the other night into the middle of nowhere to watch stars, because here in New York City, there ain't none. Like you could see like 4, where we drove out in the middle of, sort of upstate New York in Westchester County, not really upstate, but about an hour and a half away. we not only saw stars, but I saw a shooting star, and it was awesome. So it was the beginning of the Geminid meteor shower, I think. And, and we're making plans to go to Cherry Springs State Park, which is a dark skies area in New York State. It's about a 4-hour drive. So we're going to find a time when we know it's going to be a clear night, and we're just going to drive on out there in the cold, because that fills my well. That's something that's really important to me, is being able to look at the night sky. And in New York City, you see the skyline and you see all those pretty lights, but you do not see starlight like you do anywhere where the sky is dark. And that's the way I fill the well. So that leads me to, how do you fill the well? The question is both simple and hard. How do you fill your creative well? What makes you inspired? Do you know? If you do know, that's fabulous. But if you don't know, it's a really good time to try and figure it out. What makes you inspired? What makes you go, I want to try that? I encourage you to figure it out, and then maybe that's what you spend your 5 minutes a day on between Christmas and New Year's. Maybe that's what you do, because it'll give you fodder. It'll give you the ingredients for whatever it is that you want to create. And there's really nothing better than that. It's important to acknowledge your creativity. Acknowledge what inspires you, even if you're not doing it. Acknowledge it. Be grateful for the inspiration, even if right now you're not feeling it or you're taking a break from it. It's so important, I think. So I'm going to encourage you and myself to do that, to keep a piece of paper or a little notebook and write down 3 things you're grateful for every day. And if even one of them is about your creativity while you're taking a break from it, while you're spending time with friends and family, even if it's on Zoom, taking a moment every morning and just going, I'm grateful for the inspiration and the creativity in my life, I think is something that keeps it awake in your heart and in your spirit while you're taking a break. And that can make all the difference for when you're ready to start back up. I do want to say this about burnout. Sometimes you don't have any choice, right? Sometimes you push through the burnout because creating or expressing yourself creatively is more important than whatever else could be going on. And this is a story that happened to us. If you're a longtime listener, and if you're not, here it is. I manage and lead one of the premier holiday caroling groups in the nation. And this happened back in 2008, on December 21st, 2008. And I call it the power of singing because this actually happened, and I want to tell you about it because it was such a powerful moment about how music, how singing can transform your life, and it can turn grief into healing. And here's the story. Sometimes when we do these caroling gigs, people, singers usually, join in. We always welcome and encourage them, and generally they sing the melody, have fun, and go on their way. The other day we were singing Carol of the Bells, hark how the bells, sweet silver bells, that one, at Tyson's Corner in Tyson's Corner, Virginia, and 3 young men joined in and were amazing. 2 were baritones and 1 a tenor. The tenor especially was spectacular. We got a huge crowd of people, and it was so gorgeous that I stopped the song in the middle, since they'd come in the middle and didn't quite know what ending we were on, and we sang it again from the beginning. Really, it was just stunning, and the people at Tyson's got a rare treat to hear these guys sing and sing full on. It was incredible. And there was a lot of singer love all around, and then they went on their way. And today we were sitting at the Subway restaurant eating lunch and taking a break during the same Tyson's gig, and 2 of the young men and the mother of one of them walked by. I called hello, and they came over to chat, and it turns out that they were all at college at James Madison University for musical theater, the baritone and opera for the tenor. Unfortunately, they were just leaving, or they would have stayed to sing with us again. The young men went to check out something at a store next door, and the mom stayed behind to talk with us. I wanted to thank you, she said, for giving them the one good thing they're going to have for a long time. What? Why? We asked. And she said, have you heard about the double murder of the mother and her son? Yeah, sure, we had. It was all over the news. And she said, well, he was my son's roommate. And it turns out that the reason they were leaving Tyson's Corner was because they were off to see the grief counselor, or they would have been happy to stay and sing. School's out, and no one was at school to make music with, and these young men were grieving. And so his mom said they'd been talking about singing with us as the one good thing. And I told her, bring them back tomorrow or Tuesday, and we'd love it if they'd join us again for as much or as little as they'd like, if it would be at all helpful to them to process and grieve or to feel better, whatever it is that they need. And she said she'd try, and I hope that she does or did, but she didn't. She didn't bring them back. I figure they got busy, but I got to tell you, that idea of healing through music, of what an honor to be part of helping these young men process their grief because their friend had been murdered. It was unlike anything any of us, the singers, had ever been through to that extent. I mean, we know music heals, right? We've seen tales of Alzheimer's patients who can't speak anymore, but my goodness, they remember a song that they sang in 1942, right? So music heals, singing heals, art heals, creativity heals. It can also bring you into incredible places of connection and collaboration. And this story that happened to us back in 2008 is one of those that makes me really remember and really honor that we can change the world through being creative. And I'm thrilled anytime I can be part of that, anytime I can help someone find that within themselves. And I'm gonna challenge myself, and I'm gonna also challenge you a little bit to bring creativity into your life. And so here's what I'm gonna do. Come back next week and join me in the Mindful Creative 2021. I'm gonna do it. It's totally free. This is not a, I want to make money off of this. Heck, if you want to throw money at me, great, but that's not why I'm doing this. I really believe creativity is the way to go. Creativity, creative thinking, innovation comes from that moment of inspiration and then the confidence to express it. So I'm going to be releasing on January 1st the Mindful Creative Calendar, and that is going to be a month-by-month process that you can go through if you want to establish, if you want to get going on your creative life and you want to do it with mindful, purposeful intent. That's what this whole Mindful Creative is going to be about. I don't know if I'm going to do like a Facebook group or whatever. I'm going to release it. And if you're doing it, if you decide to download it and run with it and open up your creative, mindful practice, there's going to be meditations in there. There are going to be prompts in there. There's going to be all sorts of stuff that will let you bring that creativity into your life and express it so that other people can benefit from your particular unique creative genius. I got to tell you, it was such an honor to help those young men. And I think we can all help each other if we think creatively and if we allow ourselves to be in that creative space. So tomorrow is Christmas Eve. If you're listening to this on the day it comes out, this is the time, this is the place to make wishes be real. And just like we used to hope Santa would come down the chimney, and now we know for most of us that he's not coming down the chimney, we can really envision what we want, and we're the ones who can make it happen. So whatever dream you had, I encourage you to remember it and see what version of it you can follow today when it comes to your creative genius, your creative life. I hope that you've enjoyed today's episode. I'm thrilled to pieces to introduce you to the Mindful Creative next week, and I will have it as a download that you can just take and run with and use and become creative. Well, not become creative. I say claim your creative genius because it's already inside you. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of the year, and I will see you next week when I talk to you about what the Mindful Creative is and how you can bring it into your world, how you can claim your creative genius for your very own and express it for the rest of the world to enjoy. Until next time, this is Isolde Trachtenberg for the Innovative Mindset Podcast. I hope that you've enjoyed this year, my goodness, next week is the last episode of the year. I have so many more really cool episodes to go. Come, not go. There are so many more to come. I'm super excited for what's coming in the next year. It's going to be thrilling and amazing, and I can't wait to share it with you. But until then, if you're liking what you hear, please leave a review or just let me know what you like, or rate the podcast. That would be cool too. It would be really helpful because it helps Apple know that you're listening to the show, and it helps me know that I'm either on the right track or I need to course correct. Until next time, though, this is Isolde Trachtenberg for the Innovative Mindset Podcast, inviting you to listen, learn, laugh, and love a whole lot. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here. Today's episode was produced by Isolde Trachtenberg and is copyright 2020. As always, please remember this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Past performance does not guarantee future results, although we can always hope. Until next time, this is Isolde Trachtenberg, and I send you all of my love.